Hopefully it's all gonna be okay. Whatever, it's fine. First thing I would tell Olivia if we were on the team together. If I was on the team helping Olivia, I'm not even looking at myself. I have no idea what I look like. When I'm like, why are you hunched like that? What are you doing? Okay, whatever. It's fine. Okay. All right. Hello, friends and colleagues and people of the world. God, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to say hello without it being like the worst way to say hello. So hello, friends and colleagues and people. I'm going to just say it. I like to say hello, friends and colleagues, when I walk into rooms. Today we are going to be Today we're going to be fixing Olivia Rodrigo's Sour debut album. By fixing, since this is my first video, so you don't know what I mean by fix. By fixing, I mean, usually when I consume a piece of media, if it's a film or a TV show or an album, it'll almost be perfect in my opinion. And I'll think, oh, I could have fixed that. You know, like if I was on the team, I could have straightened that plot out. I could have tweaked that line. It's a really good album and I love it, but I am going to look at it as though I was on the creative team, as though I'm a collaborator of Olivia Rodrigo's, perhaps a co-writer, you know, just like someone she trusts with her artistic vision and somebody that she thinks could help bring it to life. And if I was in Olivia Rodrigo's creative team, her close circle of people, this is what I would have done with all of her things. So let's just jump right into it then. So the title of the album is called Sour. It's clear that she's sour about this relationship and how it ended, but she's also sour about the world and her life and love and how the societal pressures of the world. She's sour about a lot of things. She has a sour teenaged outlook of the world. So I would really want to tell that story and highlight that story. I would just like it if she said sour at least once in this album, just at least once, in just one song, just mention the word. And I have some places where I think it could go. So I'm going to get to that. Olivia, don't worry. When you re-release Sour with all of my edits, I've got places for you to put that title word. So first of all, I like intentional track listing. If I was on the team helping Olivia, the first thing that I would do would be rework the track listing. Even if it's not a concept album, I like when an album sort of tells a story from start to finish. I like when you almost can't even listen to the album shuffled because it's so right, just in order. And I think that this is a breakup album primarily. It's telling that story. That's the big story it's telling, in addition to just weaving in her own character development. And I think that there are albums by people that Olivia respects and is inspired by that do this really well, like Reputation by Taylor Swift. She takes the story of like her public drama with Kim and Kanye and everything going on and the whole public backlash, and she intertwines that story with her falling in love with Joe. And that story, it could have gotten really old very quickly, and she doesn't let that happen. There's a clear pathway. The tone shifts when Delicate comes in, and I could talk about it for forever, but that's for a different conversation entirely. Melodrama does the same thing. Melodrama is Lord's breakup album, but it never feels tired. It never feels repetitive. It always feels fresh. And so I think Olivia has a lot of heroes that do the breakup album really well. I wish that she had thought about that when she was track listing. I think the track list is fine. I just have my gripes with it, and you'll see. I'll get into them later. So yes, first thing I would have done when Olivia brought me the songs and was like, oh, these are my 11 songs I want on the album, I would be like, okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to track list these and we're going to tell a story. We're going to tell your story, ma'am. We're going to tell the story about your sour outlook on life and relationships. and we're going to do it well. So I'll discuss my track list that I've put together at the end, but for now I'll discuss each song in the track list she gave us. And yeah, here we go. My back hurts from sitting up straight. So track 1 is Brutal, and I think that this is a fabulous opener. I don't really have very many notes on how to improve upon this one. I love a song that does like the orchestral beginning, and then it goes into that cool pop rock alternative, like Paramore girl type genre. I love that for her too. I think it suits her voice very well. I think that this song is really strong on the album because it's not just about the breakup, it's about her. And it really sets the scene to talk about how she has the sour outlook on just life in general, where she's a little bitter about everything, but not bitter. She's a little sour about everything. She's dealing with a lot. And like, it really just, it sets the tone for the album in a way that the singles didn't. The singles focused on the breakup, where you think that when you're going into this album, it's just going to be a breakup album and it's going to be all about how upset she is. And this song really just kind of introduces you to our protagonist for the album. Taylor Swift does that on 1989 with Welcome to New York. And on Reputation with Ready for It, she sort of sets the scene with like, okay, this is who I am, this is what we're doing, this is who you're dealing with on this album. It really set the tone for me. I was listening to it and I thought that she was going to go with this intentional story arc throughout, which, you know, she kind of does, but not really. I could do it. I could tweak it and make it stronger for her. I think that this is a really good song about her and introducing her. And to end a song with the line, I don't even know where to start, and then go into the rest of the album. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think that's awesome. I have no notes except maybe to add the word sour somewhere in there. No notes though, otherwise. Next up we have Traitor. So we go straight into Traitor from Brutal, and I don't think that Traitor is a second track song. I like Traitor. I think it's a really good song. It reminds me of Conan Gray's Heather in the line, like, I wish I were Heather, and then you're still a traitor. I think that they're kind of reminiscent of each other in melody, and I really like that because they're always kind of paired together in conversations about current pop stars, you know? So I like that it's almost like they're learning from each other and they listen to each other's music. So I kind of like it being reminiscent. I think that the song is pretty strong. I just think that the end of the chorus drags a little for me, for my personal songwriting preferences. So say I was a co-writer, I would have suggested that we tweak the end of the chorus to make it wrap up a little quicker, but that's just a personal preference. I can already hear myself belting this one out in the car though, so I think it's really strong. I would just tweak that chorus. That's just me being picky. All right, so next we have Driver's License, and I actually have some pretty controversial takes on Driver's License. I love the song, but I actually rewrote Driver's License, and I posted a TikTok about it that obviously didn't do as fabulous as the original song, but I think that the song is really great. If I was in the room writing it, I would have reminded her what the title that we chose was, because I think that there are really strong themes with the idea of a driver's license that she could have explored. When I was 16 and writing songs, I certainly wasn't this good at it. I wasn't writing songs this good. And number two, I was not feeding every line towards my chorus and feeding every line towards my hook, which she does on some of these songs, but not here, I don't think. Because like the "You Said Forever, Now I Drive Alone Past Your Street" is not the strongest hook for me. I think that she should have kept going towards the idea of the driver's license thing. I'll link my TikTok and this song so you can see the full picture of what I was talking about. I think that the idea of getting your driver's license is such a rich idea she could have ran with a little bit, because youth is a big theme on the album. She refers to him being older than her, the girl he left her for being older than her, and like how she's too young to drink. So I think that she could have really gone with that idea of this step forward in young adulthood where it's like she has more freedom, and now she's not in the relationship and she has more freedom as well, where it's like he was older than her, he called the shots, he did the driving, and now she has her driver's license and she does the driving in her own life, and she may be driving alone, but she's calling the shots. Because later throughout the album we get all this imagery of him just like, you know, kind of controlling her mindset and like really messing with her in that way. And it's like it would be so strong if in driver's license she said, you know what, I miss you and all that jazz. It's really sad, but I'm the one driving now and I'm in control. And you can't tell me where to go. You can't tell me where to turn. It's me, you know? So I think that could have been a really good thing for her to explore. Regardless, the song is great. It's a mega hit. And who am I to tell her how to make it better? Next up on the album, we have One Step Forward and Three Steps Back. I believe she samples Taylor Swift's New Year's Day in this. So I never noticed in Taylor's version that the tempo sort of changes going into the chorus. But it's glaringly obvious here. So as a songwriter, if I was co-writing with her, I would have suggested that we maybe make that flow a little bit better, make it a little less obvious, because in the bridge, she goes from the bridge into the final chorus really well, very seamlessly, and it doesn't feel like this weird tempo change. So I would have maybe tried to rework the verses to make them lead into the chorus a little better. But there's nothing wrong with doing a tempo change and shocking your audience. And I know that a lot of songs that do that, but I don't like it personally, not very much. It shakes me up until I've listened to it enough times to anticipate it. So if I was in the writing room, I know myself, and I would have suggested we try to redo that. And every time I played it as we were writing it, I would alter the chorus melody, and they'd be like, no, you're singing it wrong, you're doing the tempo wrong. And I'd be like, oh, well, you know, I'd be like trying to steer us in a different direction. I already know it, like I can picture myself, but I would have just tried to suggest that. But it's honestly a little refreshing that it kind of changes tempo. It's not a huge change, and I don't need it to change for this album to be perfect in my eyes by any means, but that's what I would have done. I also think that this song is in the wrong place on this album. We just went from Traitor to Driver's License, now here, and it's just been all downhill since Brutal, because Brutal was just like this hype up, like big song, and then we just like take it down to just a very low tempo area for 3 songs straight. And I know that Driver's License is supposed to be some up-tempo-ish, like rising levity, especially at the beginning of an album. I think we needed a bit more up-tempo songs at the beginning of an album just to keep people's attention spans. Because, you know, I'd gotten to this point and I was like, goodness gracious, you know, like I'm feeling some type of way. And it's like, right at the beginning of an album, I don't know if that's the smartest move. I think that the song is really well worded. I think the focus is very clear. I don't have any comments on the lyrical content. I think it's really well done. Deja vu. I can already see myself, either I'm a co-writer or I'm just Miss Olivia's creative collaborator that she just values the opinion of and loves dearly. I can see her bringing me deja vu. Like, oh my God, like I just wrote this song. I think it's going to be so good for I couldn't think of the word. I think it's going to be so good for a single. And I could just, you know, see her playing this song for me and me just ruining the co-write or ruining the meeting. And I wouldn't be able to completely explain what I meant in the moment. And we would just be like looking at each other like, well, I guess we just don't understand each other's opinions. Like I can already picture it. It's such a good song. I don't know if it needs to be completely reworked to take my advice, but this is the advice I would give her. And I'm not going to rewrite it unless I'm seriously prompted. But if Olivia played this to me, I would not tell her, like, this has to be completely reworked, but I would start asking clarification questions. I would ask her, so what is he getting deja vu about exactly? Is it the fact that he's taking the new girl to all of the places he took Olivia? And he's feeling deja vu from that. Is he feeling deja vu because Olivia and his new girl are like weirdly similar and they're kind of the same, you know, like how she kind of brings up in the second verse about how similar they are? Is the point of the song that Olivia is like showed him the stuff that he's showing his new girl now? It's a little muddy for me. I love this song. I think it's a highlight on the album for me. I'm not saying it's a bad song by any means. I think it's really good. It's got a great video. I know that she like talked about how she's never even seen Glee and stuff like that, but like, so then there's no excuse for not answering these questions, because it's not like it's like, well, you know, like I just wanted to say all this stuff because it's all really, really true. It's like, okay, then let's craft this really good scenario of what you're trying to do right here. It could have been interesting to tackle one of those questions that I posed before. I'm pointing up, like it's more like that way, right? No, I don't know. Actually, I'm getting confused. I have to still look at my hands for left and right. It's fine. I'm fine. For her to tackle one of those questions that I posed, maybe for like the first verse could be about how he's getting deja vu from taking his new girl to all the same places he took Olivia. And the second verse could go into how he's kind of getting deja vu from like, oh man, you know, like she's actually really like Olivia, my new girl, is kind of really like her. And I think that it would be really interesting for like that second chorus if Olivia said something like, when's she going to tell you to like go listen to that Billy Joel album? Or like, when's she going to tell you we should watch Glee sometime? And like, when's she going to tell you and do stuff that like I would have done, you know, because like we are similar and like we're kind of the same type. And I bet that we like a lot of the same things, and like almost sort of like going on this level playing field with this girl, you know, like it's a little less, oh, she thinks it's all special, but it's not, which I feel like is a little spiteful, like a little too spiteful. Like when I first listened, I was like, damn, why we got to ruin it? Like I know like we're trying to ruin it for him. So like I think it would be really interesting for her to really hone in on the fact that she and the new girl are very similar. And it's like, you know what? You got another good one. Is she showing you all the same stuff I did? Because she's got really good taste. That's something I would have, if I was co-writing it with her, I would have been like, we should put that there, or maybe in the bridge. That would have checked my boxes to clear that up. And if it was my song, I would have cleared that up. But it doesn't make it a bad song. I still think it's a great song. And I just think that we should have honed in on one of those concepts. But it's not my song. It's her song, so it's fine. Next, we have Good For You. I'm going to talk about this one a lot later in conjunction to another song. I love this. I love when she does the pop rock alternative thing like she does on Brutal. I think it's a great direction for her. I adore this. I love this for her. Good for her. Next is Enough For You. I was going to be nitpicky and be like, she should have done 4 as a number because she does 1 step forward and 3 steps back and it's the number, and then Good For You is the number, and then we immediately follow it with Enough For You and it's not the number. But that song is so serious that it needs to be just written out with the 4. It's not like cutesy, it's serious. And I love that about it. I like that it's serious. So I think that this is the best song on the album. It is tragic. It is really well written. It says it, man. And this is the song that I think if I were him, this would hurt the most to listen to. She flames him in the most delicate ways, just bringing up completely perfectly wording how awful he was to her. It's really well done. And I love that it turns around and it's uplifting for her in a way that Driver's License kind of wasn't, you know, like where she kind of goes, no, I'm going to find someone. It's like her white horse, you know, like where it's like, I'm going to find someone right for me. I just think it's really well done. And I have no notes on that one. I think it's perfect. My only note for that one would be put it up higher in the album because we got to get to it quicker. It's amazing. It should not be track 7. That's too late. I need it sooner. All right, so next is Happier, and I have a bone to pick with Happier. I have a few bones to pick with Happier. I think as track 8, it comes way too late. All of these ideas are a little tired by the time we get to them. I think that we could have, if Olivia came to me with Happier, especially if she brought it to me later after hearing all these songs, after the journey we've gone on already. We already have you musing about how he's treating his new girl. We have Good For You. We just came from Enough For You, the best song on the album. We've already heard all the stuff that she's saying in the verses, so it sort of feels a little tired at this point in the album to me. So I would have either put it up higher if we're going to keep it, or I would have said that we should rework it. I have two ways I would have reworked it. One is less controversial. I would have just told her, you know what, we're going to hone in on like your self-reflection, and we're going to think about what happiness means to you. We're going to call back to like Brutal, where it's not just about the relationship, it's struggling to be happy in your life, in the societal pressures and everything going on. And she has a lot to be happy for because of her newfound success. It's also hard though, because she misses him, and like she wants him to be happy, but not happier without her. And she should be happy, but maybe she's not even ready to be happy. She's not ready to move on. She's not ready for him to be happy. I think we could have explored a lot of ideas of happiness a little bit more. There are so many ways we could have taken that concept without just going with the same old in the verses. After the album that we've gone through with her, it's like, I know that. I know he wronged you. I believe you. You don't have to tell me again. And the second idea that I have, the more controversial idea, is to fuse it with Good For You. The first time I listened to this song, me and my sister were listening to the album, and I can only imagine what Miss Olivia would say if I'd said this to her, if I was the trusted member on her team and like she played me the album, and I just look up and I go looking at the track list of the songs I've listened to so far and the journey we've gone on together so far. And if I just looked at her and said, either Good For You or this has got to go, like I can only imagine what she would have said, you know? Because after discussing it with my sister, I just realized that I just kind of wanted to fuse the songs together, because I think Good For You is really strong. And I think that Happier is really strong. But I think that Good For You is a good hook. It's a good concept. I like it, but I think that the idea of I want you to be happy, of course, I'm not a monster, but I don't want you to be happier without me, would be so baller in a song like Good For You. I would just suggest to her, let's try to rework that idea into Good For You, where it's like, you know what, like I want you to be happy, but not happier without me. I can't get over how good that idea is for some reason, because like otherwise I would tell her like we got to get rid of this song. You know, like this song, I love the little melody. I love a almost 50s inspired kind of movement and whatever. I love it. If I were on her team, if that idea wasn't so good, I would be like, okay, it's either going to be a bonus song or let's just save that melody for the next album because it's good. But I don't think that the song itself is your strongest. I just think that we have to keep that idea. That idea has to manifest itself somewhere on this album because it's so good for the album. It's like the perfect encapsulation of Sour, you know, where it's like, yeah, I want you to be happy, but not happier without me. It's not fully sweet, but it's not fully bitter. You know, I think that that would be so good on Good For You, and I would be so curious to see her rewrite Good For You with that kind of an idea. My other bone to pick with Happier is I don't like how she sings the title. I don't like it when people stress the wrong vowel in a song. So especially if I'm co-writing with people and they try to sing something stressing the wrong part of a word, and it's not creative enough for it to be like, okay, whatever, like we'll let it slide, I will be like, no. But yeah, I think that line is so good. It just needs to be sung different. The verses need to change, or we need to fuse the whole thing with Good For You. Whichever one she would prefer. That song has to be the one of the weaker ones on the album for me, which is weird because it's got one of the most fresh concepts. So we need to salvage it. So that's how I would try to get her to fix it, you know? Next, we have Jealousy. Okay, when this one started up for the first time, I was just looking at the title and I was like, good God, it's going to be another spiteful jealousy song. Oh my God, you know, like, lady, we get it. And then she just said, no, I'm not going to tell you the same thing you've heard before. This is a completely different song about something completely different. I love this one. It's a breath of fresh air after Happier. And I think it's a great callback to Brutal because she brings up being young in this world and growing up in this world. And it's so good to hear. This song is just so good. It encapsulates that really well, like her perspective of being young and growing up in the world, where it's like, yeah, there's so many advantages to living in the world right now with technology, but like it's also so damaging to like to a 16-year-old, especially with fame. I can't imagine. I think she does a really good job on this song, calling back to Brutal. I think I really like it. Next, we have Favorite Crime. I had a laugh at the beginning of this one because, you know, she's like referring to him as a criminal and like saying like, I hope I was your favorite crime. And it's like, if I correct me if I'm wrong, I think he was like 19 when they dated. So like, he's sort of a criminal. So I think that this one is beautiful. I think that the wistful quality of it is really nice. I like that it's the second to last track because I like a wistful song as a second to last track. I really like it. I can't explain why, but I like that on an album and she did that and I appreciate it. I love this one. I think that it ties up their love story and their breakup story so well, where it takes this very mature look at the relationship. And it's not just like, oh, he hurt me and I'm sad and I'm still in the thick of sad and I haven't been able to back up and see where I was at fault and where I was an accomplice and where I knew it was wrong, but I was doing it too. I think like for a 16-year-old, that's very mature. And I really like that she did that. I think that this is a great second to last song in an album and I have no notes otherwise. All right, so now we have the final track, Hope You're Okay. I shed a tear or two listening to this one. I love this idea. I love the looking back retrospective, thinking back on the people of your past. And like, I've thought about that. I think about that all the time, you know, where it's like, damn, I wonder where that kid in these pictures from preschool is right now and what they're doing. And I'm always LinkedIn stalking people from the past to see where they're working, what they're doing. And I know I'm not alone, right? Obviously not. She agrees. My only note for this is if we're going with the whole breakup thing, I think that it could be stronger as a closing song to tie in the breakup a little bit, because I like that we end on this because Brutal starts us off with not just the breakup, it's life as well. And then we get back down to not just the breakup, but life as well. If we just sprinkled a little bit of the breakup in, I think that it would be very strong because, you know, like there's little hints of the breakup in Brutal as well, even though it's not about the breakup entirely. And this song is not about the breakup entirely. So I think that we could go about this one of two ways. In the bridge, we could either be like, talk straight at him, like he's one of these people, and just be like, bring in the man of the album, bring him in, and just say like, hey, you know, like it sucks that you're just going to be one of these people that I have to wonder about, but like, I hope you're okay. We had good times as well as bad times. It wasn't all bad. It is what it is, and I hope you're okay. Or we could just like fast forward into the future where it's like, one day I'm going to be able to like say this to you. We don't talk anymore, and I wonder how you are, you know, and I didn't think I was ever going to have to wonder how you are. And we used to mean so much to each other, but I hope you're okay. I learned a lot from you. And like, it could just be a really good wrap up moment and like to tie him in to it a little bit. And the bridge just is not my favorite bridge in the entire world. There are some lines that I would have been like, how about we reword that if she was writing it with me? But I definitely would have suggested maybe we bring him in because he was a big part of the album. So I think it's only right to address it just a little bit at the end, just like the way she does in Brutal, where it's just like comparing us. In Brutal, that's like kind of the only thing she says about the breakup. Otherwise, all in all, I love this for her. I love that song. I wasn't expecting a song like that on this album. It makes me excited for the future of her albums and what she's going to do next. So now we've got my order, how I would have reworked this track list had Olivia come to me and said, I don't need your help writing any of the songs. I can do this by myself. If she came to me with these 11 songs and said, now I can use your help track listing them if you want to, this is what I would have done. So I just kind of wanted to encapsulate the album as a whole. Feels like this kind of ricocheting between I'm fine and then like, oh, but I'm thinking about this now. But I'm fine, but I'm thinking about this and now I'm thinking about this. And I wanted the songs to respond to each other in that way. I wouldn't want to bog down an album with just like sad song after sad song just for the sake of a chronological order that makes sense. And I think that when I explain it, you'll understand as well. So this is what I wanted to do. Track 1 would remain Brutal because I think it's a great intro. I think that I already covered this. Get to know your protagonist, lay down the lines of the story. Here we go. This is where we're going. I don't know where to start. Here we go. Number 2, I would take us into Driver's License. It's the first soiree into that relationship and that breakup that we ever got. So I like for that to be the first thing we hear about it, so it's like, this one, this is the single. People I feel like that's an album tracklist strategy to like front load the singles. This is what you came for. Driver's License. Here you go. That's how we first sympathized with her. It's how we first met her, really, in that situation, at least me, because I wasn't following that before. And then it exploded. So I had to follow it because I love that stuff. I think that it's a little more upbeat than like Traitor. I think it rises really well. I think it keeps the momentum up from Brutal, which I think is very important. Any song after it builds upon that idea. So I like to start it off where she started us off. So the third song on the track list, I would do Happier, just because I don't want the content of Happier to get stale. If she's not going to change it for me, then I have to put it at the top. It's not the lowest tempo song either. I think right after Driver's License, we just established the fact that he's with this new girl. I'm alone. And it's like, you're with this new girl and I hope you're happy, but I hope you're not happier without me. So it's like still like this kind of spiteful look at the relationship because she hasn't gone on the full journey yet. It feels like, I don't think this is your mind. So it seems like a response, at least a little bit to me. So next after Happier, it'd be like, you know what? You do really seem happy. So good for you being all happy and whatnot. Track 4 would be Good for You. And I really like the idea of it being track 4 and the number 4. I just love that. We bring back those rock vibes from Brutal, so they're not like buried way lower in the track list. And it's like, where'd those go? I really miss those. It brings us back into that up tempo again after kind of dipping with Driver's License and Happier. Yeah, it's a direct response to Happier. Oh, I see you're happy now. Good for you for being so happy, being so much happier without me. Track 5, I would do Enough for You. I like the idea of her paying a little homage, right? That's how you pronounce it. Paying respects to Taylor Swift and doing the best and most emotional song as track 5. It needs a chance to shine really high up. I think that it's a good transition after Good for You, where you're like hyped and then like you sit in your feelings a little bit and you're like, oh, I was never enough for you. It's a good first really, really low tempo, pensive song. For track 6, I would follow that up with Jealousy, because I think we need a little break in the relationship content. Like we just got an earful about how bad he made her feel and how low her self-esteem kind of was. And then now she has to also deal with like the internet and comparing herself with people. Like I think it's a very good transition from, oh, like you made me feel awful, but one day I'm going to feel better. And I'm sitting in those feelings and it's like, damn. And now I got to be jealous of people online. That seems like a transition to me that feels seamless to me. For track 7, I would then bring in Traitor. This sort of brings out more of the Driver's License vibes. It's very belty, where it's like I can already hear myself singing along to it in the car. I don't think it's track 2. I think track 7 for Traitor feels right. I don't know why. It just feels right to me. It's bringing us back into the relationship. After Jealousy, we're like, you know what? I'm still angry. I know I just took a break from that, but I'm still angry about it. Hello, you're a traitor now that I think about it. So I like that. So then she's a little angry, huh? Okay, so then we bring us up tempo again with track 8, Deja Vu. So we just called the man out for being a traitor. We're feeling spiteful again. So we're gonna sing Deja Vu, where it's like, traitor, I bet that you also think of me whenever you're doing anything with her. Ha, I bet you do. All right, now for track 9, we go with 1 step forward, 3 steps back. This is when she's really, really realizing and vocalizing things, in my opinion. After Deja Vu, she's going to be feeling some type of way, you know, about the relationship where it's like, you're doing all this stuff with her that you used to do with me. And one might think to themselves like, oh, I miss doing that stuff with you. Like I miss going to the beach and getting strawberry ice cream with you. But what I like about 1 step forward and 3 steps back is that it kind of goes through like their day-to-day was really toxic. And like she didn't know if just saying a little thing was going to set him off. And I think that this is such a place to realize it. Right after Deja Vu, she'd be thinking about all the nice things that he used to do with her. But she has to remind herself in that moment, like, no, don't get caught up and wear some rose-colored glasses thinking about all the stuff he must be doing with her that he used to do with you, because he treated you awful and the day-to-day was awful. She'd be reminding herself in this moment, no, it actually wasn't that good, you know? So number 10, for 10 and 11, I'm keeping them the same. Favorite crime, we already know. I love that for a second to last. I think it wraps up their breakup really well, especially coming from 1 step forward and 3 steps back. Favorite crime, she'll take some ownership where it's like, you know what? I was a part of it too. Did a lot of stuff to keep you around. And I realize now that I shouldn't have, but I would, if I could do it all again, I would, because of all that I learned and all that jazz. After with the journey that the album has taken now, it's like, it's not like a lot more obvious that like she would think wisely about it with favorite crime, but I don't know. It still fits right at this point in the album. And then Hope You're Okay would be track 11. And again, without the addition of the main focal man of the album, this does kind of seem a little out of left field to end the whole album with, but I still think it's a good, strong closer for this album. It brings us back to a central location, which is the important part, where it's like, you know what? I'm thinking about the grander scheme of things and the people I've lost and the people I've lost touch with along the way. So I like that it brings us back to that spot after what you might have thought was just a breakup album. Turns out it's not. All right, so that's sort of all of my thoughts on Olivia Rodrigo's amazing debut album. I think it's a great introduction to her because I think that she's just gonna like grow so much and there's so much room for improvements in her writing, building upon what's already great. I think that the bones here are amazing and I think that she's just gonna get better, and I'm really excited to see, you know, like what her shows are gonna look like and what like the next album's gonna sound like. There are risks on this album that I really like. There's not a lot to fix, there's just a bit of tweaking. This is how I tweaked Sour. I didn't fix it, I tweaked it, but I really liked it. I can fix more things if you'd like me to. I mean, you don't even have to want me to. I'll fix more things because I have some ideas. I'm sorry about the state of my hair right now, especially with the pink. You can tell that it's not as pink as it once was, but I feel like this is a sweater Miss Olivia would wear, right? I don't know. Maybe it's not. I did my best. Yeah, I love the album. I don't even know what to say right here. Cheers to Sour, I guess. I can't wait to finally look at myself. I haven't been looking at the viewfinder. I've been looking straight at you. Was it unsettling for me to look straight at you this whole time? Okay. Well, thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll make more videos. Thank you for watching. I'll make more videos if I feel ever so compelled. And if you think of anything you'd like me to fix, please let me know. All right, so I hope you have a good rest of your day. I don't know how to wrap this up. All right, goodbye.